Hi Capricorn, here is a general look at your solar chart for August 2015, and you're likely to be doing some deeper questioning and thinking and mulling things over at times during this month. There's a huge emphasis on an area of your chart which is a deep one. It's also a transcendent one. So it's about moving from one stretch of road to the next, but your encounters and your experiences and the events and the circumstances and the conditions, which will be relatively fleeting whilst you're going through this house of your solar chart, which is the 8th house, with such a lot of emphasis. I mean, we have the Sun and Mercury and Venus and Jupiter, and after the 9th, Mars in there. And also, yeah, that's it. As if that wasn't enough. So there is a huge emphasis, but is even more significant for you Capricorns, because you also are the host to the transit of Pluto. And so Pluto has been working away in your lives, changing things and getting you to realize things that maybe were put on one side in your earlier life, cracking open your life in lots of ways, throwing a light on the taboo areas, the distasteful areas, or the areas that we have been programmed not to pay any attention to or to overlook by our upbringing, and little demons can sort of be popping up to the surface and confronting us, and that's the Plutonic energy, the Lord of the underworld, coming up to sort of go, like that. But the effect of this Pluto transit can be, it is very life-changing. It's gradual, but when you come out the other side, and you reorientate, you realize that very much the person you were when you went into the transit is not the person you are when you come out, and you're always going to be more secure and more wily and more wise when you come out the other end, if a little bit shaken at times, because a lot of you have been getting Uranus at the same time as Pluto. And just on that subject, Pluto, for you Capricorns born the 2nd to the 5th of January, or with 12 to 14 degrees rising, will be feeling that the most this month. But to get back to the faster moving planets and the Sun, so Pluto is a very, very long transit going on for many months, but then the others move in and out of the different houses really quite fast. And the Sun is in the area which I call the gear change area, because you will come up against conditions or people who trigger, who are unwittingly, maybe on their part, they're catalysts. And then a transitioning, because you'll have to let something go. You'll have to realize that isn't actually serving me. That attitude, or that bit of property, or that piece of kit, or this habit, or this location, or that job, or whatever it is. I mean, a job and a location is quite a sort of a big thing. But if you're one of the Capricorns that are in the zone of Pluto, then it could be, the job or the relationship or whatever it is. And you could be feeling more sensitive, always with the planets and the Sun in this house of your sun sign chart. You will be feeling more sensitive. It is a house which can definitely transition you into a new way of thinking, no matter how small or big a way. It can be in quite minor sorts of ways, depending on where you're at, and also if if planet Pluto is anywhere near your Sun or other planets, or it can be more meaningful, it can be more profound, and you could be musing over things, very much musing over things, profound for you. That's what I mean. I don't mean necessarily it would be headline news, but it will feel like it's really important, or it's significant, or it's big. Whereas to others, they might not even notice it, This is very personal. This is quite a secretive area. And it will be something that kind of maybe rattles your value structure a little bit, but you might be just wondering about which is the correct way to go, and what would be the appropriate thing to do. If it's some outside kind of situation where you are not emotionally connected to it, it's in some ways just kind of more the facts are the facts. This is, we are where we are, sort of thing. But it's often more involved and more sort of like a tangled web. So you got a certain amount of turmoil or wondering. It doesn't necessarily have to be turmoil. It can just be inner wondering. So that is a way it can be working. Another way it can be working, if I still have you here, is research. This is a great time for strategic thinking, of drilling down to get to the nub of something. So again, if it's external things to yourself, and you can be quite objective, that is probably the easiest passage. If it's things to do with your psychology, to do with your past, to do with your emotional patternings, then it is more demanding. But transition will occur when maybe through, and this is a good time to be working with someone. This is a brilliant time to be working one-to-one with someone in a therapeutic sense, or if it's not about yourself personally, or it's about financial or property things, then somebody is likely to come along who is going to be a support for you, to do with finances, or to do with property, or to do emotionally in your life. And that is because of this very extended transit of Venus in that area too. So there is an awful lot going on in the 8th house, and a lot of possibility, and you can feel like you're challenged by another in a way, and then that allows you to open up to something that you just hadn't really taken on board before. And if it's external to you, that will be to do with the financial side, or shared property, or joint interest side of things. And if it's internal, that will be an aha moment for you. It'll be like, oh, that's what was getting in my way, or that's what really mattered and I didn't even realize it. Another way this can be working is that it can be quite a sizzly time. There can be somebody extremely significant in a romantic sense in your life. It's more likely now, and that's more to do with the transit of Venus, but with the Sun and after the 9th, Mars firing up this area, then it could very much be going in that sort of direction. Definitely a time, I would say, where you would do better connecting with you. It's easier for you to connect with somebody in a deeper kind of a way, or in a more involved kind of a way. So whether it's choice or whether it's not, it's more likely that somebody can push your buttons, or somebody can get under your skin. But also because Venus being there, of the harmonizer, the balancer, you will be able to reorientate better. This is one of the main things about this area, is it is a letting go of something area. That's why it's about transformation and transition. Because we've let go of something, we've dropped some ballast, we've dropped an old idea or an old kind of path we were following along. Maybe in just a small way, or it can be in a bigger way. That little bit just helps with our passage through into the next stretch of road, is the way I put it. So Mercury has you weighing things up, pondering things more deeply, but it might be externally. It might be about the financial side of things, or maybe, what somebody else has been doing or playing in our lives, or doing for us in our lives. And you're thinking about what's the correct thing, what's the proper response here. And then Mercury moves out of there, so it takes your mind off that a lot between the 8th and the 28th, and then it goes into a very, very expansive area where you get the bigger picture. Things begin to slot into place intellectually, although the rest of the transit of the Sun and then Mars going in there after the 9th, it's quite an emotional area. It's an area where I think that logic is definitely secondary to intuition and sensing. So Mercury goes into this area. It's great to think outside of the box, to get into different unfamiliar sorts of situations, and you're more likely to enjoy them. And then from the end of the month, Mercury moves, and then you're thinking about your longer term plans. Apart from the July the 19th to August the 1st, we have Venus in this area of emotional depth. This is a great place for Venus to be because she soothes, she helps to balance, she helps to bring material goodies in your direction as well. This is a very long transit, and through another, so it's like a reciprocal arrangement. So this can be some kind of facilitating coming through another, or it can be emotional supporting coming through another, or if it's not in your personal life, it can be some sort of, if you're applying for funding or something like that, you're more likely to be able to feather your nest for the future, right, if you get your ducks in a row now under this transit. And that's been going, if you're listening to this in July, you know, this has been going on since June the 6th. And some of you will be able to shift into more commitment, more settlement, or a settlement, but feeling more settled with someone, or it can be financially or to do with property under this transit. And then we have Mars has been in your opposite sign, a rapport with somebody else, very sort of proactive, dynamic interactions, bouncing ideas around with others, or others in a close, more likely in a close one-to-one. And don't be too hasty to try and speed things forwards, or they might be too hasty trying to speed things forwards. So just, you know, dig your heels in there if it's feeling too rushed for you. And then Mars moves out of there from the 9th and goes into this same area I've been speaking about, this deeper area where Mars really wants to help you clear the decks for new beginnings. But in the process, you might find that you might feel controlled. You might feel like a situation is controlling you, or you might feel like somebody is almost like throwing their weight around and pushing you around with their requirements, whether you know them or you know they're just some kind of anonymous outside person or agency of some kind. And so this time here will allow you to see how to integrate your own desires, because this inner shifting is happening. This inner shifting is happening, and you're realizing, okay, actually, I can again, it's about letting some part go, so that that's the price you have to pay in order to be able to move on. It might be materially, you know, things, or it might be internally. I don't need this mindset or this way of looking at something anymore. And it could be in other ways as well. Some of you could be having a spring clean, going down the dump, that kind of thing, because that's an outward expression of an inward state. You'll find a win-win solution, but just remember, this is more about sensing and intuiting and feeling, and also not putting your cards on the table with some people, just keeping a bit, because you're going through an inner processing during this phase here, so you don't have to be shouting it from the rooftops. Now, new potentials are in the wind from the 23rd. That's when the Sun moves. Again, the Sun moving into the same place as Mercury. Mercury's been there since the 8th. Again, opening up your world more, getting you, into a more adventurous frame of mind. And some of you might take a trip during this time, or the vibrations are more, they just have more possibilities with them. Saturn is in a very good angle to your sun sign at the moment. That's up until September. And you making improvements gradually, rising up the levels, establishing yourself in the pecking order, or with friends, or with a particular group, whether it's an online group or not. And then with Jupiter has come out on the 11th, coming out and going into this very, again, expansive area for a year from the 11th of your solar chart. It's very good news for you because you'll have the opportunity to push the envelope of life more, and also life will just open up more, and you'll be on a bit of a learning curve, but that can be good, and you can feel as though you're growing, and you will also probably be on the move maybe, or be in a sort of environment where you are you have more opportunities to communicate with those at a distance, or to travel distances, or indeed put the word out there on sharing your knowledge in some way, because this is the area of the teacher, the student, the higher education, and the bigger the horizons, and the boundaries of your known world would definitely be stretching into new territories. You early Capricorns and Capricorn rising, or those of you born 17th of January onwards, or with 27 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most this forecast period. And I must mention Uranus, you Capricorns born the 9th to the 12th, or with 19 to 21 degrees rising, you're going to feel like the Uranian energy is the energy of, yes, it is the awakener, but can be awakener with a shock. And it's electrical, it rules electricity. And so you have to look after your nerves. You have to make sure that you are deliberately following sort of practices which are calming and soothing and relaxing, you know, as much as you can. Snuggling out with a good book even, you know, that's good enough. Or just listening to some music, or whatever, and doing that regularly, things that will just you know, smooth out ruffled feathers, as it were, because the Uranian energy can really have you know, all of our feathers sort of standing on end, and that is just the energy, and then of course when it manifests as something, we're feeling very jittery, and maybe we are feeling a bit panicked when we don't need to be feeling panicked, you see. The energy actually is very, very good for catapulting us out of our complacent little, safe little worlds. And the purpose of the energy is to liberate us, maybe through a series of surprises, shall we say, which we will just have to kind of calm down from and recover from, so that we find ourselves in a world, in an environment, a world, whatever you want to call it, which is freer and allows us to inhabit ourselves in a more authentic kind of a way. Those of us that go through it consciously are maybe more onto it quicker than those of us that get hit broadside with this series of sort of getting ambushed by this and thinking, why me? Well, it is this moment in your evolution for this huge change, and those of you born probably sort of the 6th to the 9th, 10th, you're getting the pair of them together. The 6th, 7th to the 10th, you're getting the pair of them together. So for a little while longer. So you have to take extra special care of yourself, because this is one of those times in a life where the known world is changing, and what we thought we knew, we didn't know at all, because your frequency is changing, and your perception is becoming, you're waking up basically. So that'll do, and so that's it for August. If you and you've got to get yourself organized in practical ways as well. I should have said that this month. That's it for August. If you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to those. But also, this material is written up on my website, and read the bit about Jupiter Saturn, because I couldn't fit that in. And I will see you the next time. Oh, DianaGarland.com, and I'll see you the next time.